Good morning, everybody. I'm Robert Scheer, and this is your 6 AM Wake Up. I have what many people consider to be a pretty intense morning routine, and several of my friends have suggested that I share it, and I will. When I share this routine, I don't want you to think for a second that a morning routine like this is the key to success or the key to happiness. For me, it is the key to getting started the right way in the morning, and it's also the key to making sure that I accomplish certain things that I've set out to accomplish in a regular order. And those things, when added together, tend to lead to a productive, more fulfilling life. But I'm going to talk tomorrow, perhaps, or in the near future, about the fallacy of perfectionism and why you need to embrace imperfectionism. And I think my morning routine is going to suggest to you that I don't believe in imperfectionism, that I believe that if you do enough and tackle enough, all things will be okay. And that's simply not the case. And we'll talk more about that. But I do get up every day at 4:45. And I started, always have had an early morning, but it's gotten earlier and earlier. And that's because of this book called Atomic Habits. And what that book talked about was the fact that you don't make huge changes in your life. You make little incremental changes. So I try to move back the time I get up a minute or so every 6 months or a year. And over time, it's moved back to 4:45. And that's when I get up most days. And I do have a routine. My day starts with prayer. I actually do get on my knees and pray. This is a habit I've picked up in 12-step recovery. There's the idea that prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening to God. And so I adopt that philosophy. So one of the things I do every morning is briefly pray, and it's nothing formal. I've also adopted an attitude of being very conversational with my higher power over the years. I then diary. I usually diary from the preceding day, and it's nothing lengthy. I just talk about what I did at high levels, and occasionally, most days, I'll remark on some feeling that I had or some observation that I learned. I also make a very brief gratitude list, just put down 3 things that I'm grateful for. These things are usually pretty mundane to some. It's not these very high spiritual thoughts. It can be, grateful for my Apple Watch. It can be, grateful for the sofa that I'm sitting in. It's just acknowledging the gifts of life. I do exercise every morning, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. I also meditate, as we've talked about before, and I don't do it long. It's usually somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes in the morning. There are days when I have the opportunity, I'll do it longer, and there are some days when I've done it as short as 2 or 3 minutes. It all works for me. The other thing I do in the morning is a lot of readings. I have a couple of daily readings. These are like daily meditations. Every day it's a new one. They're just 1 page long. And I'm usually reading 2 books at the same time in the morning. One is spiritual in origin. It could be on meditation. It could be on religion. It could be on Judaism, any of those kinds of things. And the other is oftentimes a self-help or just some book that I was recommended by somebody that I thought would be interesting. But by tackling it every day, I tend to knock out, 1 or 2 books a month, and that makes me feel good about myself. Here's the other thing I want to mention. I keep 3 sheets, and I've kept these for probably close to 40 years now. I learned them way back when I picked up on goal setting from a motivational speaker named Zig Ziglar, who really had an impact on my life. And I have 3 separate sheets. One of them is real simple. It's an athletic tracking, so I just simply write down what I did that day in terms of exercise. My goal is to do something every day, so 30 times a month or 31 times a month, I'm just logging something. The second is a business activity sheet, and this is when I take the goals that I have for myself or for our company, and I try to chunk it down into specific activities. So you'll see things here about reviewing various financial statements that I have to do on a monthly basis. There's recurring meetings. There's also business development meetings. There's recruiting outreach. So there's a whole bunch of categories of things that I want to do, and I track it monthly to make sure I'm accomplishing it. The third is the one that I think most people are sort of surprised by, and some of it is just checking the box. Like I talked about, I do prayer, I do meditation, the gratitude note, and I just check those. But a couple that are maybe more interesting, I realized a long time ago that if you don't stay in touch with people, the phone gets heavy. And so I track talking to my friends. I track calling my kids. I also have a category that says doing something for others, and that's generally anonymous. So every day I try to do something that I can take note of that maybe was valuable for somebody else, and I just note it. And the whole idea is you get what you measure. So I try to measure all of these things. So all of this might lead you to think that I am a firm believer that if you pack your morning and are a goal setter and you follow this rigid plan and you're on it all the time, that all of life's bounty will come your way. And I don't believe that. There's a whole element that we're going to talk about, and I'll talk about that tomorrow. Thanks for listening to my thoughts for the day.